you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today we have royalty in the building, the one and only the current Royal International Miss Role Model, Elizabeth Frisk. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Elizabeth Frisk. I'm the current Royal International Miss Role Model. It's a little bit of a mouthful,
It
like you
is.
said, but you nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it, though.
Awesome.
I do a little bit of everything. I love to do a little bit of pageantry. It's a newer passion of mine. I'm a certified artisan in Panama, making Tembleques, our traditional hairpiece for us. I love to cook, or just I love food in general, maybe a little bit too much because I made that my studies, and I hope to have that as my profession further down the line.
Perfect.
I work in one of the coolest restaurants in OKC, as you already know.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah.
And then outside of that, I say I'm probably a little bit of a reptile lover for sure. I accidentally ended up with multiple rehoming cases.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like,
Funny
what
how
are we
that-
talking about?
Oh, I got 2 leopard geckos and 3 box turtles now. And I
Oh, wow.
pray that's where we stop it.
No snakes?
No, I
No?
cannot do
You
snakes.
can't
No.
do- okay.
I originally wanted, what do you call it, a chameleon when
Okay.
I first moved back to Oklahoma,
Yeah.
but then everything else happened. There's no space for a chameleon
Yeah,
now, unfortunately.
Repping Green Bay, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am a cheesehead. I was born in Green Bay,
Same.
Wisconsin.
That's my favorite NFL team. So we just became best friends. I
Okay,
think.
great. We're besties already?
Already, yeah. Tell me what was that like? What's Green Bay like? I know it's cold, right?
So let's see. I only lived a couple years
Yeah.
in Green Bay specifically. My father's side, they're all from Wisconsin.
Okay, cool.
So I visit once in a blue moon, and it's cute. It's
Yeah.
it's cold every time I visit.
Yeah.
But to be quite frank, I'm not a fan of the cold. So maybe I need to plan a trip during the summertime, which is gonna be a little bit more lively and less.
Yeah. One of the things that always amazes me is that the people volunteer to go clean up the snow from the stadium, and they just go out there. Have you seen when they do
I've
that?
never heard of that.
Yeah, they just like go and like shovel like all the fans and stuff. I'm like,
God.
that's some dedicated fans.
I was about to
you know?
say they're a lot better than me because as soon as I see a flake outside, I
You're
am
like, no.
bundled up. I am in my room.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And you also grew up a little bit in Panama too, or what?
I did. I grew
Yeah.
up pretty split between the U.S. like in
Okay.
Panama. I guess that was like a benefit of being an Army brat, and then also my mom just immigrating to the country when she was so young.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate out of my 4 siblings.
Okay.
To have had the opportunity to live over there and really be the one to most connect with our culture and celebrate our traditions, actually pick up some Spanish.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still a little bit of a no sabo, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't pick it up just like living there? Or were you like really small or what?
It's kind of strange because when I first started learning Spanish or just how to speak, Spanish was my first language.
Okay.
But then eventually I had to move back to the United States, to Maine. My mom was adamant that we only spoke English at home because with her moving to the country so young and not knowing the language herself, of course, that was a bunch of obstacles she had to face.
Sure.
You know, being an A1, unable to communicate with people around her, and then people judging her because, oh, who's this immigrant? Would you speak our language type of deal?
Yeah. It's not too late though. I mean,
no.
you just need to practice
No,
pretty much, right?
I know enough now where I can defend myself, but
Yeah.
I always hesitate whenever people say, "Oh, you're fluent." I'm like,
Kind of.
if once I can probably pronounce words with more than 4 syllables with ease,
Yeah.
I can consider myself fluent.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can have a conversation for sure, but
Yeah.
I still struggle a
Are
little
you
bit.
a fan of like Latin music and stuff like
Absolutely.
that?
I'm a little bit basic when it comes to my Latin music. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. My 2 loves right now are going to be Raul Alejandro and Bad Bunny.
Okay.
I was jamming to them all the way here while
Awesome.
also paranoid about getting hit by another car.
Did you get tickets to Bad Bunny?
Oh my God.
Was it not
It was
crazy?
a bloodbath.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I got my pre-tickets or like the pre-sale tickets
Yeah.
or entry, whatever, right? And I was in the middle of doing a quiz online when
Oh, when
the
it
sale
started
opened up.
Oh, no way.
I was number 600 in line. It only took 5 minutes for me
Yeah.
to actually enter the sale. But here's the thing. The prices were ridiculous.
I know, right? Like even like the nosebleeds were
I got
like crazy.
$300 nosebleed tickets.
That is so crazy.
I'm definitely someone that has FOMO always. That's either my greatest strength or weakness. I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause I can never pass up an opportunity.
Same.
But now I'm looking back and like, you know, nosebleeds 300 level, right? But now in the 100 level, the box center and everything, they're selling for like $350.
Okay, interesting.
So
I know
that
when I
kinda
was
hurts.
looking, like probably floor seat general was just like at least $1,200. I want to say like.
Oh yeah, they were $1,200 after
1,200 and
taxes.
above? Yeah.
VIP, special entrance, and I looked into it. Trust me.
Did you?
I looked into it. I was
Yeah.
this close, but I had to get a ticket for my friend too.
Yeah.
And you know what? Klarna declined me. PayPal, Pay by 4 declined me. So
Oh,
I had
no.
to pay what I had.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. But I'm glad you got the tickets. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to go.
Cool. All right. So tell me a little bit about Panama. Growing up in Panama, what was that like? Maybe sum it up. Like, what was some of your favorite experiences from there?
Where do I even start? Of course, I did some preschool over there. And that's when I first had when I was just first sentient as a child, right?
Yeah.
And had my first memories. So I can't say anything too exciting when I was a little kid, but going back for my secondary studies, what I really love was just having the opportunity to have kind of those same experiences that my mother had when she was in school back in the day. Because she always told me about all these really fun times. Of course, nothing that I could do because
Right.
I couldn't be a bad student, but she had all the liberty to.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit of a band nerd. I was first in orchestra when I was still living in the U.S. We didn't have orchestral programs over there.
Okay.
So I ended up joining the band. I was a batutera, the little baton girl twirling the stick.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And I was drum major, the most offbeat drum major you'll ever have in your life, but they had
Yeah.
no one else to fill in the position. So
Okay.
I
That's
gladly filled it in. Had the cutest outfit ever.
That's cool.
So it was really great doing that. And then just eventually I needed something to kind of fill in my time. You know, back in the day, I've always just kind of read and go on maybe on 9gag, and that was the extent of
Yeah.
how I filled up my free time, but I needed
Yeah.
something a little bit more productive. And I was also feeling kind of lonely at first, moving back to Panama in secondary.
Okay.
I didn't quite have established friend group over there, and I had to relearn Spanish, which was
Yeah.
a little rough journey.
Did you have a lot of family there that you could sort of at least hang out with?
Oh yeah,
or-
my mother's
yeah.
side. She's related to at least half the country. I'm
Awesome.
sure I could not go down
Yeah.
any calle without finding a primo, prima,
There we
tia,
go.
nobody.
That's awesome.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, we just got bored one day and decided, like, okay, how about we take this little class at Sal Si Puedes? It's like a bisturia over there where they sell all these like materials to do crafts and everything.
Okay.
Like our Hobby Lobby over there.
Got it.
We took a class and we just immediately fell in love. And us just kind of being the, I guess, competitive people that we are, we're like, we can do better than this. We'll do better. Then
Yeah.
we kept going on, learning more about our traditions, the culture, the history behind just the hair pieces, which stemmed across our traditional wear, and then why we eat the food that we eat, and this and that, which I thought was probably one of the most.
That's cool. So the class was all encompassing like both food and the traditional like hair pieces and stuff like that, or what?
We ended up just doing one class with a professor, and then from there we started learning and experimenting on our own at home because we weren't too crazy.
Overachievers.
Yeah, we're a little overachievers sometimes. I definitely take after my mother in that sense. And then just from there, in our free time, maybe by luck, we would find people who also shared these interests with us and give us a little piece of their mind and telling us what they know about our history, which I thought was probably one of the best things I could have ever got for moving back to Panama.
Cool. And that's where the Tembleques come
That's
from?
where the Tembleques come
Tell me
from.
about the Tembleques, because a lot of viewers may not know what a Tembleque is. So maybe explain, what that means.
So they have a very interesting history for sure. Our traditional dress, la pollera, as it's called, it comes from Spain. They just brought it over one day, left it with us, and we went to town with it.
Awesome.
It's evolved so much in the past century or two that it's been in the country, which is insane on its own. But the hair pieces are typically worn with it. At first, they were just natural flowers that you would ordain in your hair.
Okay.
Put a little rose in. Yay, fun.
Yeah.
And eventually they evolved into pieces that would be made with wire called gusanillos, which translates to worms.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like these little like twirled up wire things, which are really cool. And that art in itself ended up being lost for decades because of World War II, and the steel productions worldwide just shut down so many factories.
Okay.
So that's a little fun fact for you there. And eventually we just explore with different materials, whether it be fish scales, which is my favorite to work with because they look the most organic once they're in the hair.
Like legit
Fish scales. The scales off of a fish, washer up with a little bit of, I wouldn't say Clorox, but Zote, I think.
Yeah. Like the soap.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And then let her dry out.
And it's just like dried fish scales.
Yeah, and they don't smell or anything, which I highly appreciate. They're not slimy like you would think they would be.
Yeah. And they're not like too like brittle to where you put it in your hair and it just like
I think it depends on like the type of fish scale that you use. We usually use like parque rojo, I think it was called. No idea what the translation is. Ruby red snapper. Don't know. But it would just really depend on the type of fish you use and the cleaning technique as well, which is so strange.
Yeah.
So just using that one little soap, more than enough. If some people use bleach and stuff because they insist that it still smells like fish, it doesn't afterwards.
So you would get the fish and actually prepare it, or you would just get the scales already? Like
the market for it is very interesting over there because people know.
Okay.
So they would be selling the fish scales more than the fish itself.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those will always be sold separate. Don't ever think you're going to get a fish with the scales on when you go to the seafood market
it's
over there.
Off.
It is off. That is a gold mine on its own.
Okay. Cool. I think I missed that in my research because the ones I saw were like made out of beads, I think, and stuff like that.
So
right?
I gotta say it's probably the more common one now today. It's the most cost effective. It's also the most beginner friendly. So I like to do a lot of volunteer work, and one of which is with the Ronald McDonald House. They're all over the world.
Yeah.
So I like to teach a class over there, trying to give a skill that can actually be sellable.
Okay.
Right? The Tembleques.
Yeah.
And I would begin with the pearls because it's easy to grab those materials and then explain, put 2 beads here, twist it up, done. Right. But yeah, no, the pearls have to be the most popular ones. Fish scales are just my personal favorite because it's a little bit more traditional and it looks so much more organic in the hair.
I'm going to have to go back and look at those. That's pretty cool.
I'll show you some pictures too.
Because there's also different shapes, right? So I imagine the wire is what you use to create the different shapes and stuff like that, or what?
So just depending on what material you're using as a base. So for me, it's fish scales. For the fish scales, you just cut them out to the shape you want it to be. You use wire to anchor things down.
Cool.
When you're using the gusanillos and the pearl, however, you have to thread wire through those materials to actually give them form. And if you want to go super traditional with it, you're going to base it off of natural flora and fauna you would find around the country.
Okay.
So for me, I love doing orchids. Hands down my favorite. Chavelitas.
Awesome.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
So you just kind of have to give it form as you go.
And then you color the fish scales to different colors? Is that what happens or what?
Yeah. So a lot of people, they use tissue paper to dye their fish scales, but I learned that if you just use food dye, one, you get a much bigger variety for colors, which I think is
for sure.
really great.
You could do
really
some
nice.
fades and stuff like that, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's those kind of newer techniques or materials that people don't commonly use that I like to incorporate in my work to give it more of a distinct look at the end of the day, which I think kind of helps. I like to blend really traditional with modern, which I know a lot of people dislike.
No, I like it.
When I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of our older artisans may not fully appreciate, but we do have to evolve at the end of the day. And our work, the hairpiece in and of itself has evolved so much that I think it's bound to happen. So I'm just getting ahead of the curve there.
Cool. And then it turned out to be a hobby, or is it more like a business now for you?
It was a business for me.
Yeah.
There was actually, the reason why I turned into a business is because one of my friends, she's Hindu, and in their tradition, when her sister was getting married, you give a gift $111. My parents were already going through the sacrifice of putting me through a private education over there, which is a lot, especially out of my siblings. I'm the only one to receive said education. I did not have the gall to ask them to give me $111.
Do you know what the significance is? Like, why 111? Is it just good
I don't
luck or
remember.
something?
I wish I remembered what it was. I have
up.
to message Lavina after. It's like, hey, can you remind me, by the way?
I bet it's like good luck
But,
and
like,
numbers or something.
I think so.
Yeah.
But like that was like the minimum.
Okay.
The minimum was $111. Like, I do not have that money. I'm
Yeah.
over there in Panama, you can't work until you're 18 unless it's under a family business.
Okay.
And by the time I hit 18, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So I decided, let me take this craft that I'm still relatively new to. Maybe I can sell it because I know people do that. And A friend's mother was my first customer. Love her to death. Really appreciate her. I gave her some real clunky work, and
You got to start somewhere, right?
I started somewhere for sure. I really need to reach out one day and see if she still has it, because I would love to take like a then and now type of photo. So I ended up making a business just so I can afford these little events where I could actually keep up with my private school friend group, because they were hard to keep up with.
I like the hustle. That's awesome. So where did the love for food come about? Because I know you're big into food and stuff like that. You're even like going to school for that, right? So how did that come about?
That all had to start with my late mother, for sure. She was really the inspiration for so much of what I do, even to this day. I've always had a love for food. I thought it was the coolest thing. Of course, I'm one of those kids that says Ratatouille is my favorite movie growing up.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. I like
it's a pretty legit movie.
Solid.
We do have to admit, like they put a lot of technique into that.
Yeah, for sure.
And with that, I just had a lot of curiosity behind it. I remember my brother would always make these sugar cookies, and I would just ask him, beg him to teach me how to make them. He would say for a good couple years, no, you're too young, you can't learn. Anyways, one day he finally gives in, and guess what? He pulled out a packet of Betty Crocker sugar cookie mix.
Yeah.
I think it's right around that time I got a Kindle too, like when they first like you could start going online and everything with them. So I started learning about like recipes, and they were really bad for our first couple years. Everything came out horribly wrong.
So you were like, I don't want to use this ready mix. I want to do it from scratch.
Yeah, I need to do it from scratch. That's the only way that it should be.
That's awesome.
And I kept fostering that love. I'm more of a baker than a cook, I suppose we can say.
Okay.
I always loved just baking from scratch, cookies, cakes. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now, but you get the idea.
2-time baking champ.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me about that. How's champion in baking? I didn't even know that was a thing. That's amazing.
So, of course, again, I am very competitive. I wasn't actually intending to compete in either competitions when I had the opportunity, or when the opportunity presented itself earlier this year, because I was already preparing very heavily for the pageant I went to later on compete in.
Okay.
And with that, it does take up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of effort. And I already had a lot of my free time taken up already. But my instructor at the time, Chef Ginger Lugo, I absolutely love her to death. She begged and insisted and begged that I would go. And I'm like, no, I really shouldn't. I don't really have the time. Yeah. Anyways, I went. And by the luck of the draw, I ended up having the opportunity to win in both the FCCLA and the Skills USA baking competitions this year, and had the chance to represent Oklahoma. For one, I think it's the FCCLA competition. I just couldn't go. Like that was right in time of my pageant.
Okay.
So I couldn't go to that one. And I wasn't intending to go to Skills USA Nationals either, but they changed rules this year where the runner-ups couldn't go compete, or my school wouldn't go pay for them, which is fair, is understandable. So again, my instructor insisted, and then a couple of my good classmates were like, no, you're going. I'm
That's
like,
awesome. And then you get to show your brother, right? So you go, hey, who's little to bake now, right? You got the championship under your belt. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, no, I get to show off for sure. I still kind of owe him a cheesecake for his birthday back in April of all months, though.
It's coming.
Yeah, I'm going to show up with the cheesecake and be like, hey, guess what?
Yeah. That's amazing. So how did you get into pageants? I kind of understand it was kind of like almost an accident, like just kind of like a happenstance, like you were on Instagram or something, or how did you get into that?
It wasn't anything I ever intended to get into.
Yeah.
I definitely always had that perception that, it was a game of privilege, that only the super tall girls, the super pretty girls, the super wealthy girls could compete and win in those. But I don't know what it was. I got this ad one day on Instagram. It was a local in Panama. I was like, El Certamen, right, for Miss Panama Central. I ended up entering, I don't know how, but I ended up getting the Miss Panama Central title and everything. And I was like, okay, yay.
You're like, I could do it.
That was fun, but I think I'll put a pause at that. And then I was reached out one day, because I got the Miss Panama Central title like right before the pandemic hit.
Okay.
So I got it, turn around, a week later, pandemic.
Oh, man.
And Panama shut down for a solid year.
It's like a short-lived like beauty pageant career, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
like one and done.
Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I reached my peak. I got it. Yay me. But eventually someone reached out and gave me the opportunity to represent the United States in a teen pageant. And I'm going to be sincere, it was not a great experience overall. very much reinforced a lot of the ideas that I did have
Yeah.
when it came to pageantry, that it was going to be.
What are the cons? Like what is something that you didn't enjoy about it?
There was definitely a lot of the cattiness in it, for sure. A lot of the body shaming. Like I dieted hard. Like I'm already not like very big, right? But I dieted hard and then worked out every day, twice a day.
Yeah.
And everything shrunk down to a 00, which is teeny tiny.
Yeah.
You could pick me up with one arm if you really wanted to. But even then, like the national director would still call me fat.
Jeez.
So like they really reinforced like you're not good enough, this or that. Like
they would just call you fat.
Oh
like,
yeah,
just to your face,
straight up to me or my mom.
Incredible.
It's like it was like it really reinforced the idea I initially had when it came to pageantry. I had some great coaches, people that I consider my friends to this day, who really helped me on my walks. I can knock it out in heels for sure.
That's big, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to walk correctly and then do the stop and the turn and everything. Like
it's a science.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary because at first I really just thought, okay, you stop here and then you pose and then that's it. No, it's the full science, which I'm just perplexed by still.
Just like hours and hours of practicing walking in
literally,
heels or what?
No, it was. And then it was like one of those competitions too, where it's like you could only wear 6-inch heels, like don't wear anything at all. And though again, it really helped me to like nail the art of walking in heels, and I had really great friends to help prepare me for everything that was going to come. I would say like that experience itself, it wasn't that great. If that was my only introduction to pageantry, I would have never came back.
Quit, right?
At one point though, because I was doing all my preparations in Panama at the time, it was a really weird situation. We were actually visiting Oklahoma. I was in Lawton. I got my COVID shot right across the street. Oh, potential sponsor. It was Crowning Around.
Okay.
Right. And Cynthia, she was talking with my mother, and eventually she's mentioned this system that I'm with now called Royal International Miss. It's a scholarship-based pageant. It happens in Orlando every July. And it's an international pageant as well. So a lot of the people who do come in, they are from the U.S., but we do have people fly in from South Africa, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada.
Cool.
Like it's really cool. I believe I was the first representative eventually for Panama, which I'm very, very, very happy to have had the opportunity for always. And it wasn't until I moved back to the United States and my mom's health was failing that I had the opportunity to enter. This was a dream that we had at that point, where we were both interested to see like what would something else look like? What could this experience be? Because she didn't have to recommend it to us. She didn't have to go out her way. But somehow she recommended it to us, admits to us, you know, saying how we were enjoying the experience we were having at the time. And I'm grateful I gave it all another shot. It proved me wrong. It's no longer just a game of privilege. Who do you know? How much money do you have? How tall you are? Because again, I'm not a very tall girl either.
You always hear like 6 foot or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
no, for real. And then there's some girls that I see, or in competitions, more major ones. Let's say like Miss Grand International, for example. They're, I gotta say, it's probably like the most currently the notorious ones to have like the really tall, skinny girls that you would probably imagine back for like Miss Universe in the 90s, right? Okay. That's not me.
Yeah.
And I can't change that. If I could grow up another few inches, I would. My dad's 6'2".
But it's a silly requirement, right? Like, what does
is.
that have to do with anything, right? It's just height, right?
Yeah, it is. So, you know, after I started in pageantry and everything, I started to really learn a lot more of the culture behind it and really just how it works as a whole. There's very few competitions that actually have a height requirement. Like, you know, the most famous one, like Miss Universe, that everyone thinks about when they say pageants, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a height requirement.
Really? Okay.
Most recently, they removed their age requirement and marriage and everything else requirement, which I personally really love, but we'll get back to that. So now just kind of finding my way back to Royal International Miss, I entered the state pageant. I think it was 2 years ago now, the Oklahoma state pageant. I was the only Miss in my category. Like, there's several age categories that there are.
Yeah.
I was the only one in my age category, so I got it by default.
Okay.
Kind of.
Cool.
I'm like, I really hope I can actually stand toe to toe with everybody.
Did you still have to go through like all the different interview questions and everything? Yeah.
So I still had to go through the interview, and then, you know, the evening gown and the self-introduction and everything that came with that.
What'd you do for your talent?
We don't have a talent.
They don't have a talent.
So
really?
that's an optional competition you can do at
Okay.
the international or on the local pageant, for example. But
Got
that's like one of those things that differentiate every organization from one another. So like
Okay.
Miss USA, for example, they don't have a talent, but Miss America, that is a big portion of your score.
Yeah.
Like you better come in with a classic talent or don't even think about it type of deal.
Right.
But no, I think that's another reason why I also entered Royal International Miss.
Yeah.
Because like I don't have a stage talent. Like my talents, they rely on like cooking. They rely on work on Tembleques. Those
Yeah.
are slow arts.
Yeah.
I
You can
can't-
have pre-prep stuff maybe on the side, and then ta-da, magic of TV, like it's
Yeah.
done, right?
I feel like I could probably pull that off one day because like my end goal would be to like go to Miss World, and they do have a talent portion. So
Okay.
make
There
them a
we go.
souffle.
That's
Ta-da!
perfect.
Yum.
I'm in.
You want to be
Cool.
the taste tester?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime, call me up.
But it's definitely been a very interesting journey going from what I consider just like a very toxic, negative, stereotypical experience of what pageants are to
Yeah.
what I'm in now, where I came back another year to compete. So my first year at representing Oklahoma, I was fortunate enough to end up as second runner-up for the divisional category. Again, I'm competitive. I'm like,
I see that.
I need to come back.
Anytime that people tell you no, or they're like, no, you're like you go above and beyond.
what do you mean no?
Yeah.
What do you
Like,
mean?
watch this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came up as second runner-up my first year. This was my second year. I came back with the opportunity to represent Panama because they didn't have a local pageant over there. So it was a open title that I could apply for.
Okay.
And I think everyone already knew me as Miss Panama before Miss
Yeah.
Oklahoma at the
That's
pageant
amazing.
too. 'Cause every time I'm like, oh yeah, so in Panama we do this and that and this.
Yeah.
I definitely got to wear Panama on my chest with great pride.
That's cool.
With great pride. And I got to achieve like my late mother's eye dream of being able to reign with this organization too that's so supportive of the girls, that really fosters sisterhood rather
Yeah.
than like we're about women empowerment and then not empower women.
Right. And I bet it opens up a lot of cool doors, right?
It really does.
My understanding is you got to do Fashion Week, right? And
Yeah.
walk Fashion Week and stuff like that. Tell me about that. What was that experience like?
So it definitely opens a lot of really great doors.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, a lot of people listen to you more when you have a little sparkly sash and hat on.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't blame them per se. So I like to make the most of having those opportunities open up to me with my title. So one of our first trips post finals was to New York Fashion Week.
Amazing.
And it was really cool experience. Got to walk with a couple local designers, or not local, but we got to walk with a couple designers,
Yeah.
did a little tour around the Manhattan, Brooklyn area.
That's cool.
I unfortunately got stuck a couple extra days because I'm calling you out, American Airlines. We got some beef right now. We got some beef right now.
Canceled due to weather, or just canceled in general? Or
They
what?
canceled my flight 2 days in a row.
Wow.
Fortunately, again, like my organization was there to support me and everything, because otherwise
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do in New York? 2
I
days
mean,
alone?
about
I'm
all the places to
21.
be stuck, New York is a pretty good place to be stuck.
It's
you
a
know?
pretty great place, but during
Yeah.
New York Fashion Week,
It's crazy.
it was a little hectic for
Yeah.
sure. So, I mean, I got back to Oklahoma just fine, obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I have a little beef with American Airlines with that. They only gave me a $25 credit afterwards
man.
too. So
Did you see any cool designers or any cool celebrities while you were there in Fashion Week? Because Fashion Week is like everybody and their mom is there, right?
oh yeah, everyone and their mom is there. I definitely met like some other big name pageant title holders as well, like our Miss Earth USA, which
Yeah.
I thought was really cool. She
That's
was so
cool.
sweet and down to earth. No pun intended. But I am also the type of person where like you can literally put my favorite celebrity right in front of me. I'm not going to realize until you
Really?
point it out.
Unless it's Bad Bunny.
Even then, I
Even
don't
then?
know. Even then, I don't know. Yeah, no, I always have such a hard time with. There would be moments where I see someone in public and like, they look so familiar.
Yeah.
I wonder where they're from. I went to Denver earlier this year with my best friend, and she saw the lead from Santa Fe Clan, I guess. And like,
Okay.
they're people I've listened to before. The people I've definitely
Yeah.
seen. But it wasn't until she pointed them out. I'm like,
You're like, oh, I see it now.
that's where you're from. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense now.
That's funny. That's very cool. So now you're kind of in school to do like, food and all that. So my understanding is your aspiration is to like open up your own place. Is that right?
Yeah. So I graduated from culinary arts from Francis Tuttle Technology Center
Okay.
just this past May.
Awesome. Congrats.
I absolutely love them. Thank you. They were a really great experience. They provided a lot of just great tools and just networking opportunities. They gave you some soft skill classes as well. And the best part, they weren't ridiculously expensive.
Yeah. And you get like different tastes of different cuisines and different focuses? Or do you tell them I want to focus on this particular type of cuisine?
So you are going to have to focus in a few different areas in general, like, your basic skills. I had a meat processing course, which would have been a little bit cooler if I was actually in school a little bit longer, but I was out traveling a lot, but they were super flexible and understanding, which I'm also, again, so grateful for.
Cool.
Baking, of course, was my favorite part of the course. Garmager, I have to say, is one of my favorites.
What is that?
The best way I could describe it is turning your kitchen trash into treasure. That's like where you make your hors d'oeuvres and your salads and little appetizers and everything.
So it's like you've got like this random ingredients and it's like put something together.
Yeah, it's
that's
like,
amazing.
Imagine Chopped, but in class or in a more professional
That sounds
setting.
fun.
It was really
What
fun.
is it called again?
Garmager.
Garmager.
Yeah,
I like that.
don't ask me how to spell it. It's French.
Yeah, no, I like that. So was that like your jam? You like just like random things and doing something fancy or what?
I really enjoy that. I like being able to just kind of grab different random ingredients, whatever is in front of me or I'm forced to use, except when I'm at home. Because whenever I'm at home and we only have a few random ingredients, we cannot make a dinner out of that. Like I'm talking about like a can of cream of mushroom soup,
Right.
Some shake and bake, and an egg. Like that's all we got over there.
I mean, I see people that like go and get McDonald's and they turn it into gourmet just by cooking it different and stuff like that. Have you seen people
I've
do
seen that. I want to play with that one day, just for the giggles.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. But I think it's a great way to challenge your creativity. I was offered a lot of creative liberty when I was over there too, which I'm really grateful for because, I mean, come on, you got a bunch of little cooks in the kitchen. You got a lot of really creative souls in there, not just for food, but just for arts in general. So you give them the liberty to, again, just take all these really incredible ingredients that are already around us that we would otherwise never have access to. Yeah. And I've seen some incredible dishes made. I'm not going to put myself at the top of my class per se.
I think you're just being humble.
I try to be.
Yeah. So paint the picture for me. Let's say, you open up your dream place. What type of place would it be? What kind of vibes? What kind of food? Walk me through that. I want to picture it.
I got to say a bakery type of scenario has always been on the back of my mind. And I don't think that's ever going to change. So it has to be some type of bakery. I got to be making my pastries and goodies in-house. And I would have to say, like, I want to fuse my Panamanian-American background together. We got some really cool flavors on both sides, just really cool techniques and just things that we would traditionally eat in one spot or another that I think when you put them together will be an incredible love child.
Cool. So it'd be more of a dessert type of place or what?
I want to say cafe. Like I want to do I'm having a whole breakfast and lunch deal. No, I'm not going to wake up that early in the morning to do breakfast. Scratch that. Let's say lunch and dinner.
Okay.
Say like
brunch.
Let's do brunch. Maybe do a little brunch, but I'm not going to get up at 3 a.m. to bake.
Yeah,
I love baking. I think I would probably drive myself out of the business, out of the industry if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a baker and wake up at 3 a.m. every day.
There's
Absolutely
a lot of prep.
Not.
There's a lot of
prep that goes into it. But I'm a night owl, so if I do not get like my 4 or 5 hours of sleep in, whenever I fall asleep at like 2-3 a.m., I'm not gonna be able to function that day.
Yeah. Do you have a name picked out for the place yet or no?
I don't yet.
No?
I don't know yet. I think I was asked this during my competition. During one of I had 2 different interviews I went through. Because they have 2 different titles, as we call it. One was the divisional and one was like the role model, which is the title that I now carry. Yeah. And with the divisional, they were like, what would you name your restaurant? I'm like, algo con sabor. I don't know.
I was going to say like Tembleques because it's like fun to say, but then it's kind of confusing, but it's fun to say.
That might be fun. I don't know. I think I definitely got to play a lot more with the names. When it comes to making up names, I draw blanks. So for my Tembleque business, for example, it's literally just Ellie, my nickname, Tembleques.
That's it.
Ellie Tembleques.
Straight to the point. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll work on the naming.
I'm gonna need some help brainstorming that for sure.
Cool. I like that. So it sounds like you're doing all this stuff, food, pageants, and then the Tembleques stuff, right? So outside of that, what else do you enjoy doing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or are you just like super busy, like no time for anything else?
So, I mean, I love to really be out with my community. I'm not really good with technology. I've got to admit that. Like, really? I am probably worse than most people's grandmothers when it comes to using technology. But, I'm trying to get to understand Facebook a little bit better because I always find really cool events going on over there. Yeah. So that's like really nice ways for me to as someone moving back to Oklahoma from Panama who didn't really have a big social group, to be able to put yourself back out in the community, meet people that are into similar interests or from a similar community. Because I was always raised Hispanic, right? So I've always found myself most at home with my fellow Hispanics in the Hispanic community. And we always have events going on. It's always a party, of course.
Yeah.
You can
like
never...
any random Sunday could turn into a party all of a sudden,
yeah,
right?
I love it. It's my favorite.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's like one way I really like to have filled up my free time. And that also kind of translated into just like my platform and pageantry and everything. I get to fuse my love for food and community with my platform. I call it Cooking for Tomorrow, where I mostly just like to look for ways where, again, I can go out to the community, I can cook for people. Food for me has always just been a universal language. It unites people. It breaks down borders.
Brings happiness.
It brings happiness.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite memories growing up has just been like my abuela's neighbor. She's Chinese, right? Straight from the mainland Chinese.
Yeah.
And she would always come by and be like, "Vecina." That'd be the extent of their conversation. Always. That would be the extent of their conversation. And
But
she would
I'm
pass
sure
on,
it's like the most like heartfelt, like just, you know, best friendship, and even if it's just one word.
It was.
Right?
Oh, it's the most genuine friendship I've seen in my life. And I've been best friends with my best friend since like we were 10, you know. But yeah, no, they're definitely really great friends. And she would always make kang whenever she knows that I'm coming over. These little steamed pork buns.
Yeah.
Best things you'll ever eat in your life. My mother, whenever we lived in Maine still, she had like a French coworker, and I believe someone from the Caribbean. I don't remember from where exactly, but again, just you had 3 different languages going on in the kitchen, and you come out with the most bomb meals.
That's cool.
Too.
Just like a fusion of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so I've always loved food for that reason. It's just a great opportunity to like truly break bread with people and just build a sense of community. So I love to go out. I'll work with the Ronald McDonald Foundations, whether it comes in as a guest chef, hosting, you know, dinner nights where, you know, we can feed the families that are already there and just like on not great circumstances, you know, just kind of going through losing my mother with her health issues where, you know, I never made that a priority for me to eat and take care of myself during those days, and definitely past her passing as well. Like there was just days like, of course I can't get out of bed, let alone like feed myself. So being able to now have that strength and then go back to my community, go back to organizations like Ronald McDonald House and make these dinners for families that are going through something very similar. You know, they're taking care of their sick children. Is something that I find a lot of, you know, pleasure and a lot of value in when it comes to having some free time.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to connect with community and then also use your gifts for good, right? So like you said, food brings happiness, it brings warmth. It's a way to like share love.
Yeah.
Like I'm on board. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
cool.
great.
So random thing, I don't know if you saw, have you seen the scoop bagel thing that's been going around? Have you seen that?
Seen the what?
The scoop bagel. So there's this guy that went viral on TikTok because he orders a scoop bagel. So what it is like, you know, you get a bagel and you scoop up like all the breading basically, and you just leave that the outside, right? Because the outside is like the best part of the bagel, right? So supposedly like the scoop bagel is like, you know, it's less carbs, you get the best part, and then it's like a better ratio of like bread to like whatever cream cheese or whatever you get. I don't know if you saw it, but the guy went viral because he's asking for a scoop, you know, bagel, and people were like, how do you scoop it? And the guy's just like with his hands just taking out the bread out the middle, and people were like going crazy. Like, I don't know if you're on board with that idea or if you think it's crazy.
I'm not.
No?
That feels sacrilegious.
Yeah?
Making bagels are so hard.
Yeah.
To have like imagine, especially like after the first time I ever made a bagel, they were not shaped right. Like even just shaping them is a pain. That is an art form in itself.
And New York does not play about bagels.
They don't. So like the thought of someone coming in and be like, oh yeah, let me rip out all of like these amazing crumbs I took all this time to build up and make for you.
Yeah.
For less carbs. It's a bagel. Enjoy it.
Right. But he's saying that the best part is the outside.
I disagree.
You think the best part is the inside?
I think the best part is the inside. It's soft. It's fluffy. I mean, there's a lot of work. There's a special science behind
the
making
dude went viral. He's getting interviewed by like all these news stations, all these like magazines, and it's like everybody's going to order like a scoop bagel. It's like it's become a thing. So I don't know if you saw it or not.
I'm completely against it.
Yeah.
I have very strong opinions about a lot of things. That'll definitely be one that I have very negative opinions on.
That's funny. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it because it was food related, and I was like, I'm going to ask her to see what she thinks, because I can kind of see both sides. Like, okay, less carbs, but it is kind of weird that the guy's just like with his hands sticking out the middle part of the bread, you know?
Like, again, I can understand like the whole less carbs thing to a degree, but it's a bagel. Bagels are only ever like yay big as is.
It's like, how much can you truly save
Maybe
in carbs?
if it was like, you know, like those sandwiches that you always see online, like from Italy and everything, where the guy's like, Parmigiano and everything, like rips out the bread. I can understand that because you're getting a sandwich. You're getting like something will last you through
like a 12-inch or something,
like
right?
You're getting yourself a meal for breakfast, lunch, dinner for the next 2 to 3 days. Like I can understand for that. But a bagel, that's disrespectful.
All right, so not a fan.
No.
That's funny. Cool. So one of the things I always ask my guests is, if I pull up your playlist, who am I going to find on your playlist? I know you already mentioned Bad Bunny, but I'm sure there's some other artists that maybe people won't, expect you to listen to.
You might get whiplash. I listen to 3 people primarily.
That's it? 3 people?
I really, every now and then I have like one playlist with just a bunch of random songs that like, oh, I like that. Yeah, I'll put that on there. But really, whenever I'm reaching out for like my music that I need comfort in, Florence and the Machine has been one of my favorite bands since I was in elementary school.
Awesome.
My sister, Brittany, she introduced me to her like when she was really getting big on with Dog Days Is Over. I think that's a song that everyone knows her from, right? So that has to be one of my favorite artists just because she brings me down to earth. It's nice, it's calm. Maybe I can sulk in it a little bit and just feel what I need to feel. Cool. But usually I need to hype myself up. I am getting ready to do brunch. Like I need to hype myself up right now or it's just not going to be a great day. Yeah. I'm about to go on stage for competition. I need to hype myself up. I need to come over, drive on the highway, go to a podcast. I need to hype myself up because this is kind of scary.
It's not that scary.
The driving part's scary for me.
Part?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The talking part, love it. But the whole driving part, that's terrifying for me. I'm designated passenger princess wherever I go, whoever I'm with, for good reason.
I like it.
But if I need to hype myself up, again, Bad Bunny, because I'm basic. Raul Alejandro, I love Karol G. A lot of like the newer reggaetoneros and everything. Cool. I really enjoy.
Awesome. That's very cool. So what are your plans? You've got the year's almost wrapped up, but I'm sure you've got some goals for the rest of the year, maybe goals for the upcoming year. You're still going to do pageants. You're going to pursue more in the food stuff. What are you going to do?
I consider myself a little bit of a dabbler. So I like to do a little bit of everything. I never like to just pause in one area of my life. So like I'm a full-time student right now. When I am in Oklahoma, I am a full-time worker. Where I get a lot of really great restaurant experience and everything, where I've got to learn from all areas, whether I was plating your desserts, I was cleaning your tables, running your food, now I'm your server or I'm your hostess. I've done a little bit of everything. I've done just about all. I'm trying to get a little bit behind the bar, get some experience in that area just because just how our incredibly talented bar staff is explained it to, like, that's a whole science in itself. Almost like baking, where like you have to be precise. It's to help really enhance your experience.
Yeah, the pairing of the wines and even tequilas and everything else with the food, like that's a whole science in itself.
It's a whole science, the whole art behind it. So I'm very intrigued to learn some more as well. Maybe get a little bit more on the line at one point, probably not really. I get a lot of my cooking experience through volunteer work, which again, I just find a lot of personal fulfillment from, where I can still keep like my mother's memory alive and then bring people together, just bring them some comfort, right? Yeah. For pageants, of course, I'm very interested to continue competing for at least a little bit longer. I'm not sure how long term I plan to make that, for the simple fact that one, it's kind of expensive.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Just because travel and everything is out of pocket, or what?
It can be tricky finding sponsors, and like sponsors can help in various ways, not just, give you cash, of course, but also provide services. So like getting your hair done, that can save me a few $100s.
Yeah, makeup and all that. It's expensive.
My makeup artist.
And the clothing too.
The clothing. I get most of my clothing secondhand. Some websites I go through is like Queenly, for example, because they're actually have like buyer protection, and I prefer that over Facebook Marketplace for that reason, because I can know at least if something does not actually arrive, I won't be losing my money, because I have to make every penny count, especially when, again, I am competing with girls that do have a lot more resources available at hand than I, because I fully support myself. I've been fortunate to get a couple sponsors for something here and there, but still like travel, stay at the hotel for like a week, right? Hair and makeup artist, because I can barely put it together. Yeah. So I'm not confident enough in my abilities to like do
that was
my
my
hair
next question. It was like, do you do a lot of this stuff on your own? But it sounds like no. Do you do like, as far as like what you wear, do you enjoy putting outfits together? Or is like when you're not in the pageants, you're like, I'm just going to wear like some sweatpants and I'm good?
So the only time I really feel I put thought and intention behind my wardrobe is like actually for like pageant week or pageant related events. Otherwise, like this is probably the best outfit I've been able to compose in weeks.
Yeah.
Just
I was going to ask you for some fashion advice.
Sancocho black mom jeans I got yesterday from a coworker.
Awesome.
And my Air Force Ones, which are my default shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like that's probably the best outfit I've been able to put together for a long time. But otherwise, what I do like when it comes to wardrobe and pageants is that you have a lot of creative liberty. And of course, I like to integrate a lot of my Panamanian background into it, and then reach out to just artists either from Panama or I've been finding some really great talent in Vietnam at the moment, and just reach out to them to kind of realize the ideas that I have. Because I would say something ridiculous to them, like, I want to look like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Give me feathers. I want a yellow to orange gradient, and it'll knock it out the park.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have a lot of fun when it comes to that. But when I'm at home, I am going to be in my sweatpants and a t-shirt that hopefully is clean.
I was going to ask you for advice because that's one of the things I struggle with is like knowing how to pair stuff and like what shoes and everything. Like guys are horrible at that kind of stuff, you know.
Like I'm trying to learn. I've definitely improved in these past couple years. Now being in pageants, we even have a really great sponsor that like helps guide us in that specific area when it comes to personal styling and everything, which I definitely reach out to her again soon for some help. But I just say like, I just never have had that talent just from like that kind of day-to-day wear.
Yeah, I wish I had that because you know
the outfits.
You go to like New York or you go to Italy, you go to all these places, and the people have a vibe. Like
they
do. They're not even trying, but they've got like this whole.
It's effortless, but they're still tied together.
Yeah,
I wish that could be me. But.
And then you ask them like where you got it. It's like, oh, it's thrifted, or it's like whatever. Like they just put it together. Yeah, it's like, so crazy.
I never find that at the thrift store. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Here I am like buying clothes. And I don't look as good as like them with them thrifted, you know, they know how to put stuff together. Like that's a cool skill to have. I wish I had that.
That's a skill that I'm really hoping to like develop just randomly one day. But otherwise, like I'm, again, just day to day, I don't have a lot of style going on, unfortunately. When it comes to like my special wardrobe and all that, I'll leave someone to do the actual heavy lifting. I'll just give them ideas.
Okay. Do you like sketch it out or anything? Or you just kind of vocalize it and then they sort of see your vision just based on what you're saying?
I say it's a mix of both. So I do a little bit of sketching and just kind of like write out some details like feathers here, sheer here, right? And then I'll get them to do like a proper sketch so they can fully envision like what we're going for. And that really helps to realize like what you're aiming for, right? But I say for the most part, I do verbalize a lot. I send in a lot of references on what I like, what I don't like. And it's a really cool, really fun experience.
What about the tailoring? Because I imagine like, okay, they make this dress for you or whatever. Then it has to fit correct, right? So you have to go for a fitting and tailored and all that as well, or what?
Yeah, so that's something that's I'm a little bit newer to. I wish I had a closer tailor to my house. I drove to Edmond. I can't remember the name of them at the moment. For my last competition, because it's like the first time I actually took in clothes that get tailored, even though I should have been doing it much sooner.
I mean, if you can get away without doing it, that's even more amazing.
I say, like, for the most part, like I've been really fortunate to just get away with it. Again, I get most of my things secondhand, so I ask for the girls' measurements.
Got it.
Your height, your measurements. And, you know, I've been fortunate to find people that are very similar to me. Okay. Therefore, it fits.
Cool.
And I don't have to go outside my house and find a tailor, which is the most terrifying thing ever to do as an adult.
Right.
But yeah, I have to go out for a tailor every now and then. So that little Phoenix outfit I was telling you about, when I got it, she did not fit whatsoever. It was completely loose on the straps and the chest area, around the waist. Like it was, I guess it's a good idea for it to make it a little bit bigger rather than smaller. But it was just way too big, so we had to get her taken in quite a lot. That just getting it to fit like just properly, I think that alone just helps elevate an outfit.
That's true. Yeah, I always hear that you can like just buy like whatever clothes off the rack, but if you get it tailored, you look better than if you like get, you know, like I don't know, Burberry or whatever, right? Like that's cool. So tell me about your first car.
Oh my God, this is always really funny to me. So I'm newer to driving in general. I think I got my license back in January, like right before
Really?
my,
So
my
just
21st.
recently?
Yeah, so like
Wow.
just right before my 21st
How did you
birthday.
survive without driving everywhere?
So in Panama, over there, I can get by with Uber easily. $2-3, I'll take me anywhere I need in the city.
Got it.
Perfect.
I see where the passenger princess is coming from. You're
Yeah.
not used to driving at all.
Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know how I survived my first year, like doing pageant activities down here
Yeah.
without a license, because I was everywhere. I would Scissortail Park, the capital, Tulsa,
Right.
here, there. Like,
And here you
I was
pretty
there.
much have to drive. Like the
Yeah.
public transportation, subways, like it's not a thing. you know?
Yeah, I'm hoping that Oklahoma will develop that a little bit better, just for our general overall growth.
Yeah.
Also for my selfish reasons, but like just because we need public transportation,
Right.
and that's another thing. Like in Panama, we have really great public transportation,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be like the actual like government ran like bus system, our subway system over there, or just like our unofficial Diablos Rojos, as we call them.
What is that?
They're just like our like the old school buses. They're like
Oh,
painted.
okay.
You just hop on when they're still driving and everything.
No
50
way.
cents, it'll take you where you gotta go.
Yeah? Awesome.
Yeah. It's like I could survive
They
over
just
there.
kind of slow down and people hop on and
Yeah.
off. It's not really a full stop or what?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly. I love them. And they would put like some of the most insane like caricatures, I guess, and
Okay.
just like other murals and everything on there. They would decorate those buses.
Sound
I think
systems.
they're
We got some music.
yeah, I think that's kind
yeah.
of like where reggaeton as a whole like originated or kind of like was born, because it's from Panama, not Puerto Rico. Sorry.
Really? Okay. Oh, do we want to get into that? Interesting.
My one controversy for today. I will
Leave
say,
it in the comments. People are going to be fighting.
Canceled. Okay, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. It definitely like it grew to what it is in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, which I think is fantastic. But it does have a little bit of origin in Panama. We have to give us just a teensy bit of credit. That's all I'm asking for. It's a teensy bit of credit.
Okay.
But no, that's where people would just kind of like go. They would sell their music and play their music and everything, which is I think was
Yeah.
super fantastic. Of course, there's a little bit of a different history today. It's not as widely used because we have Mibus as our public bus over there. But anyways, kind of going back to Oklahoma and everything, I can't go anywhere without a car. So
Right.
I have no idea how I survived my first year in
Yeah.
Oklahoma without a license. I eventually got one, and everyone celebrated for sure. That was like a whole party in on itself.
You passed the first time or what?
Oh no.
No?
No.
How many tries? How many tries are we talking?
Okay, so I made the mistake of going to the Edmond DVS, I think it's called, to do my first attempt.
Okay.
I failed before I even made it out the parking lot because
What?
apparently I didn't pull out right.
Oh,
But she
no.
still let me do the entire test, which I thought was kind of
Yeah.
rude.
Yeah, you should have said, hey, come back, right?
Yeah.
Like, why
No,
waste your time?
no, I failed before I even left the parking lot.
Did you not put on your seatbelt or check your
My
mirrors?
seatbelt was
or...
on, my mirrors were checked, but I guess like when I was pulling out, if there was a car next to me, I definitely would have backed into them.
Okay.
And they're like, for that reason, you were failed.
You were out.
But also because
Yeah.
like I hesitated with switching lanes, and this is one thing I disagree with. Everything else, fully agree on, completely valid points. But they said I did not stop at a stop sign, but I 100% did.
Yeah.
I 100% did. I did and then I kept
You're
going.
good?
Like that's the one thing I disagree with. Everything else completely valid. Afterwards, I gave a long break from driving because I was disheartened. I made the mistake of doing that like the day before my 20th birthday.
Oh, no. You were sad for your birthday?
I was so
Yeah.
sad on my birthday.
Yeah.
Like I was in the car crying, and then my dad came back. Was like, "So you didn't pass?" I'm like, "No, I didn't."
Man.
He's a trooper. And then I went to I think Merkley's. So
Like
one
driving school?
the Merkley's
Yeah.
driving school.
Okay.
So one, my insurance would be cheaper because I got a taste for what insurance would be, especially because I'm about to tell you about my first car. That was gonna be a little bit pricey.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I needed a license. So
Right.
I was taking that course, and I needed someone that could be a little bit more in depth and patient with me too. Love my dad. Again, he's a trooper.
Yeah.
I would cry every time like we get home after I've drove because
Yeah,
he
he'd
would
just
be,
stress out.
He would just be like so stern or stressed, and like
Yeah.
no. But on that note, like my dad and I, we've always had a love for classic cars. Ever since I was little, he would take me to car shows and everything. I'd look around like, oh wow, that's a 74 whatever. Wow,
Nice.
55 this.
Yeah.
Which I kind of grew into be like my love for my first car, which I ended up getting before I even got a license. I don't even know if I got it before I even got my permit, but like I got
had
that
the
before my
car.
license. So she's currently a project car called Mimi's Love Bug, of course. She's
Okay.
a 1974 Volkswagen Beetle.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. It still needs a little bit of TLC at the moment. We're about to do the dual tone painting on it. So it's going to be like a pastel pink and off-white and everything.
Okay.
So I'm putting all my love and heart in there. And
That's very cool.
I think my dad's going to love driving that thing more than me.
And you're like working on it and stuff like that too, or what?
We have a really good friend who's helping us do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the car because believe it or not, I don't know how to actually work on a car.
Yeah. No, that's cool. You'll have to send me pictures once it's done. That sounds cool.
I'm always putting little updates on my Facebook, like, okay, we got her from Paul's Valley. We got new fenders in today. Nice. I love it so much. My dad he has a 1955 Ford, so like we have an affinity for classic cars. I just hope that we can grow that collection.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we are getting the signal here that we're running out of time, but I want to thank you for being on the podcast. It was super fun. We got to talk about a whole lot of stuff. Anytime you want to come back, especially if you're about to launch your restaurant, that'd be amazing. Or if you need someone to taste, do a little testing or something like that, I'm down. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for opening your doors to me. I had a blast today.
All right. There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented Elizabeth Frisk on the Maverick podcast. Keep grinding because in dreams we trust.